Anyone else notice the ghost, or is it just me?
Come on, Laszlo, just introduce him.
All right.
Attention, everybody. May I introduce you to a man who has gone by many names. The Whispering Swordsman, Scurrilous Bob, the Barkham Bone Digger, the Marquis of Manchester,
Nice.
the Blackfinger, and lastly, my father,
Nice.
Lord Roderick Cravensworth.
You forgot one sobriquet.
Oh.
The Night Dog of Tresco. But that was most of them. I'm delighted to meet all of my beloved son's roommates, although I did think perhaps he would have had his own place by now, but what do I know?
Let me ask you, sir, how did you get all those dope nicknames?
The finest man I ever knew bestowed most of those monikers upon me. That is soon after he saved my life in deepest Sumatra.
Wow. And what was his name?
I can't remember. I think it was Glenn.
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I am Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
Tonight we are covering What We Do in the Shadows, Season 6, Episode 6, titled Laszlo's Father. Please note, this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode yet and don't want to be spoiled, come back and check us out after you've finished. What is the synopsis for the episode, Mandy?
Laszlo's father's ghost returns to allegedly make amends.
Winky
Winky fingers. Nadja and Nandor deal with the shapeshifters who've moved in next door.
First impressions of this episode. I say it every week, and I probably will be until we're done, but it's another great episode. I love how the jokes are quick so as to not get stale. The moments are sweet, but they too don't linger. But it still tugs at your heartstrings. I absolutely loved getting more Baby Nadja this week.
Yes.
And I love it when Colin Robinson and Laszlo are paired up, and give me Nadja and Nandor's shenanigans all day long.
Yeah, I loved how stupid Nandor and Nadja were this week.
But were they?
What were they? That is the good question.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing those two team up to try to take down the shapeshifters next door was pretty great. What I really liked about this episode was, as somebody who loves history, I'm going to hit you with some more nerd facts this week. Because this wasn't like the Apocalypse Now episode, but there were definite themes throughout. And as somebody who specifically loves British history, I really enjoyed the character of Roderick Cravensworth. It was a lot of fun.
He was great. And that's the actor, Steve Coogan, killed it. And I liked the effects too. I thought the way his head was pretty much normal, but the rest of him was just the floating, ghostly.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty high budget for this show. I actually thought about that too, that they really went out on that special effect. And I was thinking, I know that actor from somewhere. And the only thing, I looked him up on IMDb, and the only thing that I can think of that I would have seen him in was Night at the Museum. He was one of the guards. He was the Roman guard that was paired up with the little cowboy.
I saw it, but it was one of those, I saw it and I was done with it. I didn't hate it. It just didn't stick with me. But I do know he was the voice of one of the villains on the Despicable Me movies.
You're right. He was. He has a very good villain voice. Yeah, he's perfect for those types of roles. He did a great job. I loved him. It was perfect casting, I think.
Excellent. So that'll bring us on into the episode. I've titled the first section, Laszlo's Dad's Return. I told Mandy before we started I would be referring to him as Papa C. What was his full name?
Roderick Cravensworth. Lord Roderick Cravensworth. And I will tell you my first nerd fact is that this entire character is actually very much a stereotype, a trope of British history, British horror, of a degenerate nobleman And I think that he was loosely based on an actual nobleman named Sir Francis Drakewood. I've got Dashwood, Sir Francis Dashwood. So there were these clubs in 17th and 18th century England called Hellfire clubs. And it was basically where you had all of these gross men who had way too much money and time on their hands. And Dashwood was the worst of the lot. He was very rich and very bored and very horny all the time. And he created this fake church in his property in southeast England, where he dug out all of these tunnels in an old abbey, and they would have these elaborate rituals that were based on real church rituals. They would have sex workers come in, and they would be dressed as nuns, and the men would be dressed as priests, and they would just engage in all sorts of debauchery. And one of our founding fathers was actually a member of Dashwood's Hellfire Club, Benjamin Franklin.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Benjamin Franklin was Benny was a horny dude. I was not surprised to find out that he was part of the Hellfire Club. But at any rate, so that is what Roderick Cravensworth was calling back to, was the type of debauched 18th century aristocrat in England who was just in it for the good times. As a matter of fact, the club's motto was "Do what thou wilt." So it's basically, like,
get your freak on.
Get your freak on, do whatever. Yeah. Which was later adopted by Aleister Crowley, who was a 20th century mystic and occultist who borrowed a lot of his shtick from the 18th century Hellfire Club guys. So I really enjoy, as a lover of history and classic British horror, I really enjoyed his character a lot.
I love my nerdy Mandy. So Matthew Berry's performance in the first scene was amazing. The eerie music, the eerie melody,
the melancholy piano playing.
Yes, talking about the noise and
the mysterious noise, and then he just farts.
He's like, not that though. That was me breaking wind.
Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
And then him just throwing up his hand and then going right back in. Now, I do have a question for you. I feel like in this episode, Laszlo was really over enunciating words. Has he been doing that this whole time and I just noticed? Or was it really amped up tonight?
No, it was really amped up, but he has been doing this the entire time. That's part of remember New York City. I mean, he does that from time to time. And I actually read an article with Matt Berry not too long ago where he was saying that it's not planned. He said oftentimes when he has the episodes where he's doing a lot of that, it's because he's had to do so many takes that he starts getting bored and he just does it for his own amusement. So,
that's funny.
Yeah. So for whatever
works.
reason, I think probably they were highlighting how very, very British and aristocratic both of those characters were. So I think that's probably why they had more of that in there.
Okay. So it was extra. I feel like it was just turned on.
Yeah, it was amped up
than normal.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that too. And I do think that that's why, because they were highlighting the absurdity of this overly elaborate British aristocracy, posh way of speaking.
Yeah.
They were both kind of doing, Matt Berry was just a little bit more to the nth degree.
I love this seance and the knives hanging from the ceiling. Was that left over from when Colin Robinson
I didn't even notice the knives.
Set the booby traps?
I love that now they believe in ghosts. Remember like before when Nadia, they wouldn't believe her when her lover was coming back from being reincarnated and she had to convince them, and Nandor and Laszlo told her she was stupid for believing in ghosts.
Yeah.
And now we believe in ghosts. So
well, she did, but Laszlo still wasn't.
He was still skeptical.
Yeah. Until Papa C shows up,
being the man of science that he is. Yeah.
Yeah. And when he comes in and is immediately, obviously, the way he hits on Nadja and...
You must be his ethnic mistress.
But she's like, well, actually, yeah, that's how we started. It's just like, yeah, so matter of fact.
Yeah. I loved it. Did you notice that Roderick had tiny little bats on his shirt?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, he had tiny little bats all over his shirt. And I loved all of his nicknames that he had. I
Oh my
wrote them
God.
down. The Whispering Swordsman, the Scurrilous Bob, the Barkham Bone Digger, the Marquis of Manchester, the Black Finger, and of course, you can't forget the Night Dog of Tresco.
Yeah. I love it when Colin Robinson wants to ask him how he got his names, and he's like, hey, how'd you get all those dope names? And then when he refers to him again, it's the Night Dog.
Yeah, he's like, hey, Night Dog of Tresco. Yeah, I love that you could get a sense of that guy, of Roderick's character, right off the bat, and how shisty he is when he gives this big speech about how it was given, all of those names were given to him by a man that was the finest man he'd ever known, just after he had saved his life in darkest Sumatra. And Colin's like, what's his name? And he's like, I don't know, Glenn or something.
I love how they settle on Glenn.
Yeah.
This is something you would think would be this great, magnificent name. And he's like, it's Glenn.
It's Glenn or whatever. I don't know. And I don't know. Do we want to talk now about the first scene when they...
No, I want to wait for... Okay. I want to finish the Laszlo story first because
gotcha.
I don't want to... When we start that conversation, I don't want to break away from that conversation because it's too good. So if it's okay, I want to wait till we wrap this part up.
No, that's fine. I liked how dolly heavy this episode was.
Same.
Yes.
She's just immediate like, yeah, okay, what's your unfinished business? And then he calls her the tiny lady.
Yeah. And shakes her little hand.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
I love the trope, the bad dad here to fix things with his kid, but all he really wants is something to, for himself. I'd like a lot how a lot of this episode, bringing Colin Robinson in and having this obvious want for a fatherly figure in his life, calling back to a lot of what took place when Colin Robinson was a baby and Laszlo.
Which apparently Colin Robinson does not remember.
Right. He's like, you keep saying that. So people are going to be like, ugh.
Yeah, he says, I wish I had a strong male figure in my life. And Laszlo says, I literally raised you from a baby. And Colin's like, yeah, if you keep telling people that, they're going to think you're crazy. And so I guess he just does not remember, which is sad. He doesn't remember Colin or Laszlo being his dad at all.
But it's the way Laszlo handles Colin Robinson at the end of their part of the episode, which we'll get to, but I thought was just another heart.
It was great. Yeah, it was very sweet.
So sweet.
Yeah.
So when Laszlo sees his dad for the first time and he's like, it's me, Papa. And Laz is like, fuck off.
Yeah, he knows. He knows what a shyster he is. He knows that. And did you notice the way that he used some of Laszlo's own terminology, like calling him my rotten soldier, which Laszlo says all the time about people. And you can see right off the bat where Laszlo got a lot of his mannerisms and a lot of his personality from his dad. But his dad takes every opportunity he can to kind of put him down, make him feel less than, make him feel like he kind of treats him like he is just a lesser version of himself. Like when Laszlo introduces him to the monster, and which, by the way, Laszlo ripping off existing thing, he calls it the Cravensworth monster.
Monster.
And when he shows him his proton pack like they have in Ghostbusters, and he claims it's just a parallel thought.
Well, he originally tries to take full credit, like it's something he thought of, and then Colin Robinson's like, after I showed him Ghostbusters.
And he still isn't admitting that he ripped off Ghostbusters. Laszlo's still saying it was a parallel thought. He just came up with that coincidentally on his own.
I thought it was cute that when you get into the sitting room and they're all just sitting there and Nandor is like, so anyone else see the ghost in the room, or is it just me?
Yeah.
But I love that at that point Nandor is sitting there literally thinking, oh God, is this real?
Do I mention this?
Does anybody else see this?
Do I mention this?
I also want to note, I don't know if you noticed, and I do not mean to objectify this woman, but she's stunning. And I want to note how amazing her tatas, not just tatas, looked. Normally, she's in the high-necked stuff. And I was like, when she was sitting on that couch, I was like,
There is
go,
a reason
girl.
that her tatas were stunning. Natasha Demestru, there was a scene when she came back over after she had gone over to the neighbor's house and broke it in, and I saw her standing up. I thought, she looks pregnant, and I Googled it, and she was. Natasha Demestru was pregnant throughout the
Really?
season, yes.
Okay.
Wouldn't it have been cool if they'd written that in and there had been a little baby?
I would have loved the little baby
Yes,
vampire.
that would have been adorable. I don't think they're going to do that, but
Oh, that would have been cute.
one of the lines, I don't know if this is the best place to bring it up or not, but I can't remember what it was that I think it was Laszlo said something about he was going to suck his dad off, meaning he was going to zap him in a thing. And he says the last time that I heard that was my penultimate trip to the cunny pot. Another nerd fact I want to throw out here: a cunny is a very archaic British term for a hoo-ha. So the cunny pot
That's fantastic.
it's a whorehouse, but yeah.
That's amazing.
I loved that. I also liked when he called him my little cherubic Fibonacci, because again, he was so slick and just like you could tell that he spent Laszlo's whole life just finding little ways to dig at him, and that was just a really clever line by the writers, because a Fibonacci sequence is it's a sequence of numbers where the number is always a product of the two numbers before it. So basically he was just saying, you're a fat copy of me. You're just a fat byproduct of me, meaning, you're lesser than. Just a real clever way to dig that knife in.
Well, that's one of my big notes is, how he is constantly throwing shade at Laszlo.
And everybody else thinks it's hilarious. And poor Laszlo's.
But yet he is making everyone else swoon. And even, I think Nandor was in on the conversation for what seemed like 5 minutes, and he's automatically I think he's great. And Laszlo keeps telling him, no, he's not. He's a horrible human being. And then, he's having the conversation with Colin Robinson and
where they're looking at his Funkos.
No, before that or after that. They're sitting there talking, and he says something, and Nadia comes walking by laughing, and she's like, I don't even know what he said, but I know it was funny.
The Cunny Pot.
Oh,
yeah.
Was that it? Okay.
Yeah, but there's little hints that he's a scumbag. Like for instance, when they are looking at Colin's Funkos, which he has two Lizzos. One of them is really rare, but he's got his two Lizzo Funkos. One of them is really rare because she's got her flute, but you can look at his face while he's trying to get his little vault open, and he's kind of rolling his eyes, and you could tell he just really doesn't like Colin Robinson or finds him tedious. But the minute that Colin Robinson turns around, he turns the charm back on all over again.
I have that here. He was brilliant in feigning interest in Colin Robinson's Funko collection. Like he could have stood there all day listening about the Lizzo with the flute.
And the one with the purse. Yeah.
That was awesome. I also like when Laszlo is when Colin Robinson takes him off, Papa C off to show him his Funko collection. And Laszlo says his silver tongue is as sharp as the ivory paddle he used to bring down across my bare backside, giving the polo horses a show. And I love how Laszlo mentions his bare backside so many times. Yeah. And the look on Notch's face the entire time he's telling the story, and she's like, and then she's like, wait, I thought you liked to be spanked. And Baby Nodge is like, oh yeah.
That was funny. And they're going to head out into the city. And of course, Colin Robinson wants to go somewhere that you and I have been together, Becky, the M&M store.
With baby Ava.
Yeah.
Y'all, when Mandy's daughter was little, her uncle was very cool and helped us all to a trip to New York. And Ava was what?
7.
7 years old. And that girl at midnight was rolling around Times Square like she
Just
owned the
partying.
place.
Yeah. She was made for New
I
York.
was ready to go to bed, and she was like, I am staying.
Yeah.
That was a fun trip. That made me think of us and that trip. I love that. That was a good
But it
time.
was funny that is where Colin Robinson, just the epitome of the most touristy, place that you could go.
Very typical Colin Robinson.
Yeah.
I thought it was sweet that Colin Robinson thought he once again is thinking someone cares and is interested in what he has to offer when in fact they really don't. But I liked his little childlike giddiness when Papa C was like, oh no, I could listen to you talk about
I know
these little plastic characters all day. And it just,
Colin Robinson just wants a friend. I mean, it's been a theme throughout the whole thing. Remember, he had Evie, the emotional vampire, in season 1. That relationship didn't work out, and then he ran away and he found the siren, and he didn't get to stay with her. He never found out where he came from, or he just wants to belong somewhere so badly with someone. And that's part of why I found this so sweet, because he does belong with Laszlo and his family there. Laszlo really loves Colin. He would never admit it in a million years, but you could really...
No. Oh, and he showed that at the end.
Yeah. Did you notice when he said, when they were trying to get the jalopy going, and Colin said, my grandma's a ghost? Remember? That was a callback to the Up Dog episode where he brought his grandma back just to tell her the joke about what's Up Dog because no one else would bite.
That was a good catch. I don't know how, sidebar, I don't know how we're going to do a series recap in one episode.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to need to maybe rethink how we pull that off.
Yeah, I don't think we could do that in one episode.
So anyway, we'll figure that out, y'all. But it may not just be one episode to recap the series. Back to the episode. I think it was very cute that Colin Robinson is following Laszlo around like a little puppy, telling him how he really needs to reconnect with his father because he really wants to know about us. Colin Robinson really thinks that he wants to reconcile
like
with him just as much as he does with his son. And then
he even accidentally calls him daddy.
Does. And then
and everybody's so embarrassed for him. Like everybody in that scene is embarrassed for Colin Robinson. Yeah. What about when he hits on Nandor, or not Nandor, on Guillermo?
Oh my God.
Laszlo goes and, Roderick's making him feel bad that he doesn't have his own manservant. So he lies and says Guillermo's his manservant, and he goes and gets him. And we find out that Guillermo also had a deadbeat dad that took off when he was 3, which Laszlo says makes him the luckiest chap in the world.
And he just blows over Guillermo's sadness, his feelings.
Guillermo's
once again, his feelings do not matter, and makes him come get hit on by his dad.
By his creepy ghost dad. And he asks him basically asks him if he's taking care of all of Laszlo's needs, and he's like, yeah, it's not like that with us. And he says that Roderick says his manservant Cecil used to work my whirligigs like a maple. Asks him have you ever kissed a ghost? Poor Guillermo.
More great facial expressions of disgust and shock and annoyance from Guillermo. I loved the whole car scene, which is like 2 siblings fighting over who can fix the car.
Yeah.
Laszlo, whether he wants to admit it or not, is dying for that man's approval. So he's like, give me just a minute, I'll fix it. And of course, Colin Robinson, equally looking for someone to tell him, you're incredible, thinks he's found this guy. And he's like, no, I'll go fix it. And there was one scene, I don't know why, it was funny. I had to pause and finish laughing because I could not hear the rest of the episode over my laughter, was when they're standing at the hood of the car and the oil is just spewing out of this one little part. And Laszlo's like, for fuck's sake, Colin Robinson, put the rag on it. And Colin, just like in a little dainty way, tosses the rag, doesn't even get near where the oil spill is. But I was like, that just encompasses
their personalities.
It was, I think that might be one of my second favorite scene of the episode.
Yeah, that was funny.
Papa C really was sweet on the porch with Colin Robinson, making him feel important. And that was the catalyst that made Laszlo think, okay, well, maybe he really is changed and he is a good person, only to.
Yeah, I think that's significant too. That shows how much he cares about Colin Robinson. It wasn't, whatever he had done, his dad had done to him in the past, seeing him be kind to Colin Robinson,
Which was a Herculean
which is a Herculean
challenge
task.
to be nice
Yeah.
to Colin Robinson.
Yeah, but seeing that is what it's kind of like when you have a crappy relationship with your own parents, but you see them be great grandparents, you see them be good to your kids, it will make you reevaluate things and maybe give them a chance when you wouldn't have on your own merits. I thought that was very, very sweet. I thought that said a lot about how he feels about Colin.
When I don't know if you noticed what was in the bucket when Laz went downstairs to feed Monster.
No, I
It
didn't.
was a bucket of fish heads.
Gross. Gross.
I was like, they showed it just for a second. I was like, that's a nice touch.
No, I missed that, but that is a good touch.
I want to take a second and talk about Laszlo shouting all the horrible things that his dad has done, like embarrassing him at Wimbledon, and Papa C saying, you can't play power tennis. There's no shame in that. Hiring Rasputin as his babysitter.
That was last minute.
Yeah, screwing the French tutor, but you got into Eton and
it was the Latin tutor, but yeah.
Oh, Latin, I'm sorry. And then he says, and most importantly, killing mother. And he's like, that again, prove it.
Prove it. He didn't even deny
Right.
it. Just you can't prove that I did anything. But also the timelines historically do not match up here.
How long has Wimbledon been around?
Wimbledon has probably been around
that long.
I don't know this, and I haven't Googled it, but I think Wimbledon's been around since the 1700s.
Okay, so I believe track.
But Rasputin would be the early 1900s, so the timeline is not exactly matching up there.
Well, keep in mind this is a show about vampires,
right? Yeah, you just have to suspend disbelief.
Yeah, so
yeah. We talk about when Nacho was flattered that Roderick thought she was a prostitute.
That was my next note.
Yeah.
She walks after he hits on Guillermo, and she walks by and he's like, hey, and she's like, did you just think I was how did she put it?
I can't remember. I didn't write it down, but I think it was you thought it was a dirty whore or something like that.
It's the smile on her face.
She's clearly flattered. Yes. Yeah. Yes. She and Dolly are both dirty, dirty girls.
They are such dirty girls. But I love that they own it. And I think that is a great...
They're unique characters for females on television. Yes, they are unapologetically sexual.
But we need it,
Sure.
Because women are often shamed. A man can go out and get his freak on with 70 girls in a night, and he's like, oh, way to go, dude. And if we went and did that, then we would be
you're
dirty
a whore.
whores.
Yeah.
But I like that there is even if it's in a comedy, I like that there's a female character on TV that does what she wants, says what she wants, is who she is, and is still shown to be a pretty cool chick. I like that there are characters like that out there.
She's my favorite because not only is she unapologetically sexual, she's also unapologetically bossy's not the right word. I hate that phrase. Just very forthright. She's very staunch in what she thinks, and she's generally, even though all of these characters are just ridiculous on the most real level, she as Natasha Demestre, her portrayer, said that she could be a very stupid woman, but she's by far the smartest. And I think we've talked about that every episode. She is by far the smartest of the three blood drinking vampires.
For sure.
And she's usually the one that should be in charge. She's usually the one that's going to get the job done at the end of the day, even if it's just through sheer brute force.
Yeah, breaking the window with her voice so Lassie can have his fireworks.
Yeah.
I thought another sweet moment as Laszlo's confession to his dad that, he's been afraid to admit his feelings towards him because he was afraid they would not be reciprocated.
Yeah.
and then he lets his guard down and
gets screwed.
He gets screwed over. So
Yeah.
I felt really, really bad for him on that. And then when Papa C does get busted and Laszlo realizes he's there, but Laszlo thinking he was going to take the monster's body, and he says, you'd be up that bastard like a Frankfurt sausage in a bun.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Papa C's like I would take that horrible looking thing's body, and the monster's like, I'm right here.
I'm right here. Yeah, that was maybe my favorite line of the episode because he just sounded so pitiful.
He's like, but I'm
right
so
here.
grateful that they're giving him more story. And I hope that they continue to do more than keep him,
down
in the basement, because he really
I think
adds
there's a theme going
a lot to this story. And he saved Laszlo.
Yeah, he saved Laszlo. He was the hero here. And Roderick calls him a homunculus. And by the way, a homunculus is, I'm not going to give the exact definition, but it's basically a concept that was invented when a lot of proto-scientists in Europe were trying to do experiments with electricity and things like that. And there was this belief that you could animate like a vessel of clay or a dead body or something like that. And that's what a homunculus was. It's literally, I think it means like a tiny man or tiny creature or something like that. So again, as a lover of ridiculous 50-cent words, this was a great episode for me.
I was listening, speaking of words, big words, I was listening to The Office Ladies today, and it made me think of us. They finished the series, so they're going it's like Office Ladies 2.0, where they're going back and doing deeper dives into episodes.
I was wondering what they were going to do.
It's really good. But one of the episodes is about Michael Scott's, just all about Michael Scott. And one of them is how he misuses words. And it made me think of me and how it may have happened in this podcast where I have said a word and it not been used correctly. But Mandy is a book of knowledge, as you may or may not have figured out. And she knows all the big words. And what I love most about her, you will let me use a big word incorrectly and you don't judge. And that's how Angela Kinsey replayed some moments where in the podcast where she said things incorrectly or used a word wrong. And Jenna was like, yeah, we noticed. It reminded me.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you that I have absolutely had times where I love big words like that, because I frankly, most of my best friends have books, and it's been like that most of my life. But a lot of the words that I use, sometimes I've never even heard them used in real life. And there was a moment a few years ago, I was working my old job, and I was talking to this guy, Daniel, that I worked with, and I said something was a conflagration, which I would have died on the cross to say that a conflagration was like a big fight. It is not. It's a fire. It's a big fire. And yeah.
Well, they could kind of.
I still say it works.
It could work. I'm with you. It could work.
I told him, by God, we're going to continue to use it the way that I think it should be used.
I mean, do you?
Right.
My favorite line in this entire episode is "prepare to get sucked off, Daddy."
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one.
All I could think of was
ghosts, that's exactly what I was thinking.
When they ascend into heaven, they get sucked off.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if they borrowed that from Ghost, or if they had planned that all along.
I don't know. It worked. It works in both. But yes, because I know you and I both watched Ghost, and that was exactly what I was thinking of too. Is they owe the writers of Ghost a couple of bucks for using their phrase.
Yeah, several times in this episode, but they landed every time, and it was Matthew Berry delivered it in a way that it was more funny than it was creepy.
I liked when Roderick finally gives up the gig and tells him that he is going to try to take over his body, and he says, it's awful where I'm at. He says, I have to talk to poor people. I have to feign interest in the Welsh.
and he hadn't had an orgasm in 200 years. And you note that's when Laszlo has like a twang of sympathy
Remember,
for his.
that
That's
was
it.
his unfinished business. Remember when all of their ghosts, the episode where all of their ghosts came back? Laszlo's ghost's unfinished business was that he hadn't been able to get his nut off before he died. When
I don't remember
Yeah, there was
that.
the episode where all of their ghosts came back. It was the first episode with Dolly. Dolly was Nadia's ghost, and her unfinished business was that she didn't feel like she'd accomplished anything in her life. And Nandor missed his horse, and Nandor's ghost wanted to be with his
I
horse.
remember that. I just
But-
don't. I didn't remember.
Yeah, Laszlo's ghost, his unfinished business was he wanted help to get it off one more time, and Laszlo had to jack his own ghost off.
This is brilliant.
So,
Okay, yeah. Well, there's no way we could do this series recap in one episode.
yeah, it's too much.
I love the parenting moment that Laszlo has with Colin Robinson, and he just immediately switches into parent mode,
Yeah.
and he breaks it to Colin Robinson that he had to, and he's making it up as he goes along, and you can tell, but Colin Robinson is so wanting and needing to accept that the guy didn't just, bail on him.
Yeah, he doesn't want him to be as disappointed in his dad as he has always been. And that's such a awesome thing that you do that as a parent. You tell your younger children stories sometimes to mask unpalatable truths. And I think that really showed a lot. That was such a sweet moment between them where you see how he is the better man than Roderick. There's so much they have in common, but you can see that Laszlo is absolutely a better man than his father because he gave his, for lack of a better word, his son hope that his granddad didn't just take off and leave him.
But he's not going to give him a
Right. He's not going to. That would have been just
going to go
too
deal with
sappy.
some shit over here.
But also, I thought what a perfect punishment for Roderick as someone who is, that's somebody that is an ultimate thrill seeker. Like I said, those types of aristocrats and the Hellfire Clubs and their whole existence was based on thrill seeking and just having, as many experiences and living life to the fullest, to be stuck in a cabinet behind that, 15 locks with a bunch of plastic toys for the rest of eternity. I thought that was a perfect punishment for him.
It was great. And Colin Robinson seemed so confused, but so proud to be able to keep this whatever it is safe, locked in his cabinet behind locks and chains and a 14,000 digit code. All right, let's move on to the wait, do you have anything else about that part? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the shapeshifters portion of the episode, the B story with Nadia and Nandor. And all I want to say is, well, not all, but I want to start with 4 pillows on the couch.
Yeah, like that was just a huge development. Yeah. But what I want to talk about first is the way that the vampires discover, seemingly for the first time, that they have neighbors on the other side is not just Sean and Charmaine on the right-hand side. They've also got neighbors, surprise, surprise, to the left. And the way that they discover that is that Nandor is writing a love letter to the guide.
It's a callback. He has a crush on her.
I don't remember that.
This was revealed. It was the first season the guide showed up. He has a crush on her.
I didn't know that. I'm not
which
surprised.
Which is part of why I have a hard time buying in to him and Guillermo together at the end.
Nandor has a crush on everyone. He literally has a crush on everyone. So I'm not surprised, but I did not remember that was known information. No, I was very shocked by that. But
I think it's cute that he's like, "Dear the guide."
Yeah, the guide. Yeah.
And he knocks his candle over, and then while everything's on fire, he's like, "Oh, there's a house over there."
Go figure. What was it Nadia said? We've got neighbors on that side too. Who would have known?
I like their little talking heads or sidebars when they're sitting there together, and they're in sync with the way they're
turning.
This side and then that side, and then Nandor points one way, and Nadia looks at him, and points the other way, and then he's like, "That's."
They were kind of the two stooges throughout this episode. So yeah, they've got these neighbors, and they've decided that, and they're intent on spying on the neighbors and watching everything they do. When they realize that the neighbors from the evening were not the same neighbors from the day before, so instead of saying, "Hey, these are new people," they decide they've got shapeshifters living next door.
Well, the old guy, as Nandor said, what's the shit?
Yeah.
When did old bald guy grow hair? And that's when Nadia is like, "Oh my God, we have shapeshifters." And their first thing is to be violent and go rip them to shreds. And the look of satisfaction and want on Nandor's face when Nadia is describing going over there and what she wants to do to the shapeshifters is hilarious.
Yeah, like, what are we going to do? And you think it's going to be this big elaborate plan, and it's just Nadia saying, "I'm going to go over there and rip them apart with my bare hands," and Nandor's like, "That is a fucking great idea."
He's so excited.
Yeah. Again, most of the show is these immortal people just trying to fill up their eternity with just games and stuff to do. Because I think that more than anything, they're just bored.
They are so bored. And that's what gets you idle hands. That's what gets you into trouble. I love Guillermo walking in and being like, "Does anybody see my phone?" And they're instantly, "Shut up, Guillermo." Yeah. And then when he comes back, once they've decided they're shapeshifters, and he's trying to explain it's just an Airbnb, and "Would you shut the fuck up?"
Yeah, and he's like,
and he's like, "Okay."
Yeah, he's like, "Whatever."
And then his little talking head, he's like, "Maybe I've just never." No, I did. You could tell how annoyed he is that he did explain to them.
Yeah, and he's just going to let this dumbassery play out because he knows it's completely futile to try to make them understand what an Airbnb is. And I love, so then Nandor, in trying to describe to the audience like how dangerous and tricky shapeshifters are, he says that he was once in a relationship for 4 years with a shapeshifter, and then she turned into a possum.
And he was with her for 6 more months.
He stayed with her for 6 months, but it just didn't work out.
The icing on the cake was the photo. Of him laying there with the box.
Yeah, just cash in blue jeans, legs splayed, hanging with his possum girlfriend. Yeah. I love the way they use photography. I almost said that like Matt Berry, photography.
You did.
I love how they use photography in this show. Like, I love the episodes where they'll just randomly bust out photos of them from the past, showing them just doing things. Sometimes those are the best part of the show. And that was a very, very good one.
I'd like to do as we figure out what we're going to do with Rewatch, I'd like to do a kind of a deep dive into some of the photos that we see throughout, like in the opening credits. Teenage Guillermo Vampire is still my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then in this episode, the shapeshifter pictures were funny, but the ones that really made me laugh is, I think it was the one they showed maybe right before Nandor with the possum, is all they did was took a beetle and 2 birds and then put a head, like a human head, on it. There was no blending.
When they were showing examples of shapeshifters, did you notice that one of them was Steve Martin?
Yeah.
One of the shapeshifters was Steve Martin.
One, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually the one with the Beatles with the head, I want to say that was Charles Darwin, and I actually think that those are actually like from cartoons, satirical cartoons from back in the day. I don't know this for 100%, but I think that one specifically was people making fun of Darwinism, saying that, it was ridiculous to think that we were descended from anything. So they would put Darwin's head on different animals. I think that's what that was.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just laziness.
No, I'm telling you though, Becky, if you ever do want to do an episode where we really go over some of the photography and the paintings and things like that, just be prepared for a dork tornado, because a lot of those are based on classic art. Most of them, I think, are based on classic art. So you are just going to have me nerding out forever if we ever do that.
Well, you can nerd out on those, and I'm going to focus on the ones of the vampires that are in the show, their photographic history. Yeah. I'm down. I think that would be a lot of fun. Nandor's glee with the walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure those names were from some Western.
I don't know. What was it?
It's code names. Lancer and Rawhide.
Lancer and Rawhide. Yeah, they definitely sound like they're the horses from like Yellowstone or something.
I like it that he's so excited and he's describing her every move, even though we can
Right.
see it on camera when she's sneaking over. And she's like, yeah, it might be easier for me to be quiet if you would stop talking.
Yeah.
But he can't. And I like him describing the couple just sitting at the table playing Jenga as doing their combat training.
Using their combat blocks. Combat
like,
training
what
blocks.
on
Like,
earth?
how is that gonna prepare you? Now, I've had some fights that resulted from Jenga games, but it wasn't the Jenga games themselves that were training me for the fight.
Yeah. I like it when they realize they hear her rattling around and they're just like, oh, she's fucked.
Yeah.
He's just, and then he just starts screaming and then she disappears for a second. And then she's like, I'm done with this. But I thought it was hilarious that he's getting ready to go over there and try to defend her or save her. And he shoots the sound guy in the leg.
Yeah.
And then when Najee comes back, he's like, yeah, Nick got got. He doesn't. He makes it like the shapeshifters next door did it. Also, them blowing up the car, not Colin Robinson and Laszlo blowing up the car.
Yeah, it was the shapeshifters. And then he decides that he didn't see Nadja the whole time, so she might be a shapeshifter.
And I love that she proves it by he's like, what's my favorite movie? Which is a great reveal that which was it?
The Fabulous Burt Wonderstone. I didn't Google what that was.
Oh, you've not seen that?
No, I vaguely remember the name.
Oh, it's got Steve. Well, the reason you probably haven't seen it is because I don't think you like Jim Carrey.
I do not.
Got Jim Carrey, Steve Carell, Steve Buscemi. They are it's all about magicians, and it's kind of a dramedy, I guess, but it's not. It's got a little bit of darkness in it, so it did not surprise me that would
sounds
be
like Nandor.
One of Nandor's top music. Although they could have said The Sound of Music was his favorite, or Pretty Woman would have been even better.
Pretty Woman would have been hilarious. The way Nadja proves it is by pointing out that she wouldn't know that because she doesn't give a shit about anything he cares about.
He's like, okay, maybe you're right. Yeah. And then as soon as she's free, she's like, wait a minute, I didn't see you.
Maybe you're a shapeshifter. And that may be one of my favorite scenes because Dolly starts slapping him around.
She does. She totally does. And then the last time she does it, he's like, thank you. Yeah. I needed that. Yeah. I'm okay now. And then Guillermo shouts that the Airbnb lady's there.
Love how he just then sells them out too. Like Guillermo was enjoying them getting caught up in their dumbassery this time. He was just sitting back waiting for this to play out.
Well, but when they first come down the stairs and Guillermo's talking to him, he's saying that he's never seen anyone around the neighborhood that the Airbnb couple described. And then the lady's like, yeah, they look just like those two right there.
Well, he was calling them from downstairs in that scene. He was telling them, the lady's here and she's wanting to speak to you. I didn't notice he was saying that when they were coming down.
Which could have been him trying to cover.
Right.
With them that, no, I wouldn't sell you out. I like how they call her shifty.
Yeah. And then she tells them that they find out that she's running an illegal Airbnb. Like she thinks that's what they've caught on to is that she's not zoned for an Airbnb.
And then sweet Guillermo once again saves the day by saying, yeah, that's why they were smiling.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Nadja, when he's trying again to explain what the Airbnb is, she's like,
what does the air have to do with it?
Air PPP. And then she asks him, what does the air have to do with anything? And then he negotiates. They get to stay there 1 week in a month for free. And baby Nadja on the couch.
They both have their little glasses on. And they're all wearing a robe.
And her baby glasses. Yes.
And Nadja reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Hilarious book. Nadja could have written that book. Like, she doesn't need to read the subtle art of not giving a fuck because she's mastered the overt art of not giving a fuck.
I liked Guillermo when Nancy came to the door to give the cookies and he takes them over and like shoves them in Nodge's face.
Yeah, that was funny.
He's like, he got his wins in. Licks in
He
this
did,
episode.
and I liked when Nandor was reading the side, "Bye, Felicia, and take Karen with you." I'm going to start saying that. And did you notice Guillermo doing the little drag queen snaps in
Yeah.
the background? That was adorable. That was really cute.
And then she knocks on the door, and as she's leaving, he actually says it. Nancy's like, "Oh, you
hilarious.
guys!" And then she turns into
She's a
possum.
shapeshifter.
Do you think that's his ex?
I don't know. I thought about that.
I need that to be his ex, and I need that to
Or
come
is it
up
that all
again.
possums are probably shapeshifters? I mean, can we ever really look at a possum the same way again? Is it just like the natural form of shapeshifters when they're not being different people? They're possums.
Okay, let me drop this on you. Y'all, at my house, my husband and I have a nice little deck area that we've covered. We call it the palace. And there are times I see a possum and I don't see Darren. And then I see Darren, but I don't see the possum.
Becky,
Oh,
you need to
my
get on
gosh.
this when you get home.
There's going to be some investigating. Stay tuned next week for the follow-up report. And if I am not here next
Then the
week,
possums got you.
you all know that the possum, aka Darren.
I mean,
got
I don't
me.
know that it would be the worst thing to be married to a possum. Look, Nandor was in that relationship for 6 more months after he figured out that his girlfriend was.
Well, I mean, we're going on 12 years.
I mean, they're very sweet. They eat ticks.
So,
Darren could be responsible for the reason that none of your cats have fleas or ticks.
or me
Yeah,
for
or
that
you.
matter.
You may owe him that man more than you think.
That's great. Oh, all right. Stay tuned for the tick. So, any quotes or additional notes to discuss about the episode?
No, I think I've gone on and on and on about how much I just loved all of the history and classic British horror throwbacks here. I really, really enjoyed. I felt like this was a very nerd heavy episode, and I really liked it. But I think I've gone over everything that I wanted to say.
Overall thoughts?
Just that it's, again, this show is so good at being stupidly funny, but also very, very poignant at the same time, but knowing when to pull back. Just like when Laszlo and Colin were going to go in for that hug, but then they didn't quite hug and they both just kind of wandered off. They always pull back before it just gets too schmaltzy, but there's still just so much heart there. And it's one of the reasons I love this show. I just think it's brilliantly written. Just the little lines that they have, like what about, my cherubic Fibonacci? I mean, that's just not something you're going to hear in any other show.
I think you pretty much summed up my final thoughts too. It was pretty
Another
amazing.
good one.
I love this show. We
I
only have
know.
5 episodes left, I think. All right. We're going to move on to feedback. And we got another voicemail from Steve Brown with his thoughts on the episode. So let's check it out.
Hello, Becky and Mandy. This is Steve, and this is going to be for What We Do in the Shadows, Laszlo's father. Nandor set something on fire, and they discovered a window, and now they have new neighbors to watch. I didn't catch all the pictures of who those shapeshifters were, but I'm sure some of those were real people, right, or were old famous people. And Nadia just said the title of the episode, Laszlo's father. Mic drop. The monster sitting in the background and doesn't have a third eye? I guess it's not a third eye. I guess it's just his stitches. Oh, Nadia. Oh, yeah. Colin Robinson has a Funko army. Oh, the reminder that Colin Robinson is not the first Colin Robinson. He's actually the baby Colin Robinson grown up, right? Because when they were 100 years, he died and gave birth to himself. Is that how that worked? And Laszlo raised him in the last season, right? Hey, Times Square M&M store. I've been there. Oh, Gizmo never knew his father, and I called him Gizmo. It's Laszlo. Anyway, trying to impress his father. I love this B story. Nadia and Nandor going to kill the shapeshifters who are just staying in an Airbnb. Nandor just shot one of the cameramen or the boom mic guy with an arrow. Oh, Colin just wants to give him a hug. the ghost and this translucent arms. Oh, I see. He wanted to inhabit the dead body. That's the whole reason why he came back, not to, wow, Laszlo's father. Golly. Wait, Rasputin was Laszlo's babysitter, and his father murdered his mother. Wow. Oh, no, he wants Laszlo's body. So it turns out that Nancy is a shapeshifter. Another hilarious episode. Okay, now, this is probably going to come back at the end of the season, right? Or somewhere his father's going to come out of that thing. Anyway, talk to you next week.
That was great. Thank you, Steve. I didn't think about if his dad would come back. I figured that was wrapped.
I feel like they probably wrap that up. Maybe, you never know. He'll probably stay in the cabinet.
That'd be great. Maybe that's who Colin Robinson gets to spend the rest of his life with.
I don't even know that would be good, though.
Dad.
He's really a shithead. Colin doesn't know that, but Roderick's an asshole. He doesn't deserve that.
No, but maybe his time with Lizzo Funko Lizzo
person.
and her flute will make him realize he wants to be a better man. I mean, if
right.
Lizzo can't do it, who can? Thank you again, Steve. And if any of you would like to leave us some feedback, or you just want to say hi, you can email or send us a voice message as an attachment to what's on tonight 2@gmail.com. That's what's on tonight, the number 2@gmail.com. You can visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode. And you can leave feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We can also be found on Instagram at What's On Tonight Podcast 2. And that's at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2. We would greatly appreciate it if you would leave a review, comment, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice.
Next week, we are going to continue our coverage of What We Do in the Shadows, Season 6, with Episode 6 entitled March Madness. And I saw the preview, and it's Sean, the neighbor, Laszlo's bestie, has become possessed by a demon.
Tell me it happens during March Madness.
Well, I hope so too. I know what a big basketball fan you are, and I was going to give you this message from my husband later on here, but he wanted just to make sure that I reiterated to you CATS, 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 cats.
Mandy's husband is a UK basketball fan, which is the University of Kentucky, for those who don't know. I am a Duke basketball fan, and there's quite a rivalry. If you don't know about it, Google it. It's kind of fun. And I eventually want to do a sports rivalry and sports podcast episode.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't be able to
Eric
stop
comes
him.
on so we can...
It's all he's ever wanted.
We can trash talk each other. But one out of every 100 years, Kentucky beats Duke. But Kentucky happened to win. And I am trying to be cool and let Eric get his disses in. Because again, like I said, 1 out of 100 years. Have at it, little guy. Congratulations.
Where else can people hear you, Becky?
I can be heard on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, here on Panels to Pixels podcast, and here on What's On Tonight podcast. I'm very excited that Thanksgiving weekend, I'm going to be recording with Kara and Penny on Buffy the Vampire Slayer's Still Slaying podcast, where we're going to cover Bring It On, the movie. And for those of you that don't know, I was once a cheerleader, and I cannot wait to share my cheerleading goodness with the world. How about you, Mandy?
I was traveling so much this week, I really didn't have any time to put thought into any kind of, I don't listen to a whole lot of podcasts, but I did, Eric and I traveled to Phoenix this week, and I did catch the latest Bad Boys movie on the plane on the way home. It was very funny. It's exactly what you're going to expect from a Bad Boys movie, from a Jerry Bruckheimer movie. A lot of shit gets blown up. Martin Lawrence is hilarious. Will Smith is very funny. It's if you're having a stressed out week, and who in America isn't having a stressed out week, it's a real good way to just turn your brain off and laugh and watch some stuff get blown up.
Awesome. I do want to note that TV Podcast Industries just finished their coverage of The Penguin. Y'all, if you aren't watching The Penguin, I feel sorry for you, especially my DC people. I think this might be the greatest show that's been released in 2024. They just had their season finale this past Sunday, and it was amazing. I sat there for a good 15, 20 minutes after the episode was over, just sitting there thinking about everything that just happened and saying to myself, oh my God, that was amazing. TV Podcast Industries, Derek and I think his name's John, cover the podcast, and they just finished covering the finale, and it was great. Mandy, you'll appreciate this, and I think we should listen to it. Wendy, Karen, and Jason over on Podtastica are covering the movie What We Do in the Shadows from 2014. I know it's going to be great, and I'm excited to hear everyone's thoughts on that version. And if you don't know, this podcast, this coverage of this show, you all owe to Mandy. So if you hate it, it's her fault. She talked and talked and talked about that movie for so long. And I was like, fine, I'll watch it. And then I watched it and was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And she's like, well, now you got to watch the TV show. And as you can see, I am hooked. So,
well, I'll definitely be listening to that because that is a classic. It's though I love that the show is just as good as the movie.
I
You
think
just don't
the
get
show
that
is
very often.
better than the movie, and not the. And
We just get more of it, you don't get it as long with the characters in the movie as you do with the show. We've had
that's
6
true.
years with these
We
guys.
spend more time with these guys. I just love the
I love Nadja, and there's
baby
no Nadja in the
Nadja.
movie.
Yeah, but anyway, that'll be good. We'll let y'all know when that is out. I think they're recording it yesterday or today. So I'll let you know when it's out.
Oh yeah, keep me posted.
Want to give a big thank you to Mark and Pirate Corps Entertainment for giving us this platform. Please visit the Pirate Corps website. The link can be found on our Facebook page. And you can find out about our podcast as well as check out other podcasts that are available. Very excited for our friend Billy, who released his first episode of the Slay Lounge podcast, where he and Will are covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know you heard me talk about Penny and Kara covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is a separate podcast with Billy and Will, and I like it because, Kara and Penny are two lawyers, females covering. This is where you get two guys who cover the episode, and it's fun to hear the similarities of what they like and dislike about the show. And they do a really great deep dive into so much history about the show that I did not know. So please check them out. You can find them, like I said, on Pirate Corps Entertainment, and their podcast is called the Slay Lounge Podcast.
That's going to wrap up our coverage of episode 5 of the final season of What We Do in the Shadows.
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. I am Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight.
Bye.
Bye.